Hi friends, it's Ashley. Welcome back to my kitchen for another springtime canning project. This is one I have been so excited about. Today we are canning fresh pineapple. I don't know about you, but whenever I buy canned pineapple in a metal can, I can always taste the metal. I don't know if it's because they are so acidic or some other factors, but I'm greatly looking forward to eating this home canned pineapple without that metallic taste. For this recipe, I'm following an approved process and recipe for the most part, but I've made a few changes. The changes won't affect the safety of this process as far as I'm aware, and I'll talk about that as I go to those steps. The first thing I did with these pineapples, which by the way, I got a great deal on, especially this time of year. I feel like pineapples tend to get a little pricier certain times of year, and other times of year they are a fantastic deal. But I thought they were quite large too, at least 3 of them in particular. So I removed the top and the bottom, and then I started to take off the outsides. The main thing I watched for was to make sure if there were any darker spots that I didn't put those in the pile that I was going to be canning. We set them aside and ate them. These pineapples were great. They were not spoiled. I just wanted to keep the best parts for the actual jars. I tried to clean up the scraps from the cutting board after each pineapple, so the next one wouldn't pick up those little scraps. I wanted the pineapple to leave the cutting board free from all those little bits. Hey guys, I wanted to interrupt our video really quick to tell you about something that I've been working on for you. If you go to the link in the description, it's my citystead.com website. I have created a bunch of free resources for you to help with meal planning. If you struggle with ideas, you're looking for inspiration, you're looking for some tips on how to meal plan, there's a lot of different stuff there, so go check it out. After I removed all the parts that we wouldn't be canning, I sliced out the core. Now here is something that wasn't in my recipe. I sliced the cores to keep and make kind of, well, I'm not really sure what to call it. It isn't really a juice, but maybe like more of a pineapple tea or brine or broth. I'm not really sure, but it is what I'm going to be using in case I need more liquid in the jars instead of just using plain water. You can can pineapple in water, that's perfectly fine, or you can use apple juice, pineapple juice, or white grape juice, or make a simple syrup, which is sugar and water. But I didn't really want to go through the hassle of getting an additional juice, and I didn't want to add sugar, so I thought that this would be a great way to have the least involved, was to see if I could first of all use the pineapple in their own juices, and then if I needed to add more, I could use some of this liquid, which is just made from boiling the pineapple cores chopped up and water together. When choosing what size pieces to cut the pineapple in to be put in the jars, I went back and forth a little bit. The size is kind of up to you for the most part. You can make crushed pineapple, or you can make them into chunks, big or small. I thought about doing crushed pineapple, at least for some, but then I figured for ease, I would just stick to doing all the same today. And then if I wanted crushed pineapple, when I go to use the pineapple from the jar, I can just quickly run it through our blender before using it. So what I decided to go with was a pretty small dice. I figured it would be easier to pack. I could pack more in my jars, and then it would be small and easy to do things with. And then if I had done a bigger chunk and then needed to have a smaller chunk, I would just have to dice it up. I can't think of many things that we use really big chunks of pineapple for. So after I got all of the pineapple cut up, I did add a little, or maybe a little bit more than a little, lemon juice. I did this to try to keep the color really nice and bright, as I knew this pineapple would be sitting for an hour or two before it went into the jars. I probably could have added a lot less, so next time I'll definitely do that. But this, I think, will definitely help keep not only the finished product staying brightly colored like after it's canned, but also just while it's waiting to go into the jars. So when canning pineapple, you can pack your jars using either the raw pack or the hot pack method, but similar to fruit like peaches, if you hot pack, the results will be better. There is a lot of air in fruit like pineapple, and so by boiling it for about 10 minutes or so, a lot of this air gets released, which means less siphoning and floating fruit in the jars, which I think is great. Here, I'm just keeping all of my jars nice and hot. I keep my oven at 200 degrees so that my jars stay at a really good temperature for all of the things that I'm putting in and then into the canner itself. As far as the siphoning goes, it can be an absolute mess to wash off all of that stickiness from the jars once they've cooled down. I still try to wash all my jars after coming out of the canner, after cooling down, before I put them in storage, but if they're super sticky, it just makes that process so much harder. Anything I can do to minimize that, I will absolutely do. So by boiling the pineapple, it also helps to release the pineapple juices, which makes it easier to can. This will increase how much you can fit into the jars as well, in addition to having them, nice and small, as the fruit is sort of soft already, so it's easier to get more in. So I'm just going through and filling my jars. I'm trying to put as much of the pineapple chunks in as possible and leave the juices out for now, and then go in and add juices to sort of top it off as needed after I kind of debubble a little bit. I'm going to fill these to 1/2 inch headspace and process them for 15 minutes. And I am at the lowest altitude on the altitude chart. So if you are at a little bit of a slightly higher elevation, make sure to check that because the processing time will increase. As you saw, we started with 4 pineapples today, and like I said, 3 of them were quite large. This was a great test to see how well the jar yield matched the recipe, as maybe you've come across this before, but that can vary quite a bit on some recipes and be really off. But in this case, 1 pineapple was supposed to yield 2 to 2.5 pints, and that's pretty much spot on. But you also can find yields that go based on weight to the jar yield, if that is easier and you want to be a little bit more precise. The 9 jars was a fantastic result, and I'm very pleased with both the yield and the result of this canning project. I was able to can the pineapple exclusively in its own juices, which I was so excited about, and didn't even need the core brine that I made, but it was still good to have that all the same, just in case I need it. I'd rather have a little bit extra than to not have anything to top it off. Other canning recipes I've made using pineapple, actually the only other one I've done was a carrot orange pineapple marmalade out of the Ball Canning book, and it was super yummy. I'm hoping to try pineapple juice maybe next year or sooner if I can't wait, but I definitely want to do more just exactly like this as soon as I can get another great deal on pineapple. We can use this canned pineapple on pizza for pineapple salsa, just eating it plain, and especially baking. If you've ever canned pineapple, please let us know how you liked it compared to store-bought pineapple in a can and what you used it for. We mostly just eat it straight from the jar ourselves. Thank you for coming along with this canning project. I hope you have a wonderful day. I appreciate you being here, and I will see you soon.